Today we'll cover everything you need to know to drive the Class 395 Javelin on the Southeastern route in Train Sim World 2. In this tutorial we're starting at St Pancras and heading to Gravesend, but the techniques you'll learn will enable you to drive the entire route in both directions in timetable and explore modes. Starting off with the train in an unoccupied state at St Pancras, we'll put the master key in and set the reverser to neutral. The safety systems run through some self-tests, and we'll pay attention to the two yellow lights on the left side of the desk. The top one is line volt, which is lit as the correct power collection device for the current station is already deployed when starting in timetable mode. The light below is the MCB. We'll press pan up, shoes down to close the circuit breaker and the light will extinguish. If you're taking over a train from another driver, you probably won't need to do that step. Conversely, when playing in scenario mode, you may also need to deploy the power collection device. The game will talk you through how to do this, but it's also covered a little further on in this tutorial when we change power sources at Ebbsfleet. With the train powered on, we'll open the doors, let the passengers board, and lock the doors when everyone's on. With the doors locked before we set off, we have a few more bits to do. On the left side of the desk, we'll set the headlights to day running or night running if you're driving at night. Behind our seat is the isolator for the AWS system. We set that to normal, and the alarm will test. We press Q or the AWS acknowledge button to cancel that. We'll also switch the isolator for the driver safety device to normal, and we'll see how that works a little bit later on. The isolator for the third safety device, the driver reminder appliance, is already set to normal. The driver reminder appliance can be set at stations to prevent the train from moving until it's reset. It's designed to encourage drivers to check the signal ahead before proceeding, kind of like a brute force version of Japan Rail's point and call system. In some scenario modes, this will be set by default, and the game will remind you to disengage it. And that's it, we're finally ready to go. So we'll set the reverser to forwards, and we'll press A to bring the power handle back. The train will start moving. To apply the brakes, press D to move the power handle in the opposite direction. The section between St Pancras and the start of HS1 proper uses traditional British rail signalling, which are trackside lights displaying green, yellow or red. I'll explain it in a simplified way for now, then in more depth later on. So in this section, if you see green, continue, if you see yellow, slow down, and if you see a red signal, stop. If the next signal is red or yellow, you'll also get an AWS alert, which is a buzzer sound. You just need to press Q or the AWS acknowledge button to silence it. This section also uses British Rail speed signs, which are posted along the side of the track. Note that the speed signs are white text on black background in this section. This means the speeds here are in kilometers per hour, but that's fine as the speed displayed in the train is also in kilometers per hour here. Once we enter the high-speed section, we change to TVM signalling and can forget about the line-side signals and speed signs. To briefly explain TVM, the line is split into blocks, which are marked by flags along the route. A central computer calculates the optimum speed for each train in each block. This means you, the driver, will see a target speed displayed in the cab during the TVM section of this route. If the speed displayed is solid, this is the speed you should be travelling right now. A quick note here before we continue. When you're up to line speed and no power handle inputs have been made for a period of time, you'll hear the driver safety device. This makes sure the driver is still alert, so just press Q to acknowledge. If the speed displayed is flashing or in diamonds, this is the speed you'll need to be at by the time you enter the next block, so it's best to adjust your speed as soon as you see this on the display. This is used for traffic spacing and for slowing trains down on approach to stations and junctions. What has happened here is that the system has stepped down our speed gradually for a 100km speed limit section. If you see 3 red zeros, you must stop at the next signal before you enter the next block. However, you'll usually only see this when approaching a platform, and your speed will have been stepped down gently beforehand. So this isn't as dramatic as it sounds, and it'll be easy to see where you need to stop by. It's very important to note that although TVM signalling will slow you to an appropriate speed when approaching stations, it will not guide you down to a stop at platforms or tell you where or when to stop at stations, so make sure to pay attention to the HUD to judge your distance to the stopping point at station platforms and adjust your speed accordingly. As we approach Ebbsfleet, the TVM system drops out, which I take as my marker to start decelerating for the platform, and shortly afterwards the AWS system activates. When this happens, press Q to acknowledge the AWS alarm. Once we arrive at Ebbsfleet, we'll need to switch the train over to DC power instead of the overhead lines that we used on the high-speed section from St Pancras. To make this switch over, hold the DC button for 2 seconds. Once it lights, press pan up, shoes down. You'll see the line volt light illuminate and the MCB light extinguish. You can now continue as normal. If you're travelling in the opposite direction from Kent towards London, you'll need to press the CTRL button instead of DC, but the rest of the process is the same. Once we leave Ebbsfleet, we're back in traditional British rail territory. Speed limits will be displayed trackside, this time black text on white backgrounds signifying miles per hour. Luckily, the speed displayed in the train is also in miles per hour in this section. I'll elaborate a little more on BR signalling here. Signals will either be green, double yellow, which are 2 yellow lights one above the other, a single yellow, or red. If the signal is green, proceed. If the signal is double yellow, slow down, as we can expect the next signal to be a single yellow. In real life, some train companies recommend their drivers slow to 40 miles per hour after a double yellow. A single yellow signal means the next signal will be a red or stop signal, and in real life it's sometimes recommended to slow to 5 miles per hour after passing a single yellow. And of course, red signals mean stop. As always, you'll get an AWS alert before yellow or red signals that should be acknowledged with Q. You'll also get an AWS alert before the speed limit decreases, which must be acknowledged. Decreases in speed limit are also signified by a line side yellow triangle displaying the limit ahead. So here we just got an AWS alert and passed a speed limit decrease sign. Use your HUD to judge the distance to the speed limit change. In this example, we're 900 yards away from a 30 miles per hour speed limit. As we pull into Gravesend station, this brings our tutorial journey to a close. In the last 7 minutes, we've covered everything you need to know to drive the Class 395 Javelin from London to Kent and back. If you did find this useful, please drop a like and feel free to subscribe, as I make tutorial content for simulators fairly regularly. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.